Going to Cameroon, let's see, around January. I think it was January, and so we've been looking forward to hearing an update from them. Just to hear about the ministry there. Rachel's dad, Jim Brown. There's a picture there on the insert. He and his wife, really the director of the hospital there in Vigo. I think I might say that wrong. Right. You guys come on up, and we're going to hear from them this morning.
Rachel, Peter, y'all know us. Rachel's a social worker, I'm a surgeon. Her parents, you can't hear me, good, thank you for telling me that. Rachel's a social worker, I'm a surgeon. Her parents are missionaries in Cameroon. Her dad's a surgeon and her mom's a nurse. And her dad is a training surgeon. He spoke here once before. His job is not only to care for patients, but to teach other surgeons who haven't completed their training how to go beyond their own. That's a 5-year deal. So, right now there's 10 residents he's building to make that a little more, maybe 14 starting next year. They have been in Cameroon since 08, 09, and they've been in Bingo, is it 5 years now? They used to be in Gallery. If you look at your little insert, you can see that Cameroon borders Nigeria, and that's part of the reason they moved, is to get a little further away from Boko Haram, to a safer place called Bingo. We went in January for about 10 days, and can you turn me up over there? I can't talk louder than this.
Sit to the mic where you're talking that way.
Okay.
Nobody see you on the right.
Okay. Well, y'all are important to me. Okay. All right. The goal of the trip was kind of a multifaceted trip. You know, when you do something short term, you have to avoid the trap of what we call voluntourism, which is kind of a first world problem where you go for your interests to a third world and you think you make a difference, but you don't really serve your own needs. So we can talk about that in different places and how we try to avoid that. But basically, we wanted to do some medical work. We wanted to minister to her parents. We wanted to bless as many people as we could by Bible study and prayer. I think we did that okay by the grace of God. I can tell you a little bit about the medicine. It is amazing what they can do with so little. That's one of the main things that I observed was the lack of resources and the lack of infrastructure, and they're doing good work down there. And if you're medically oriented, I can tell you more about the cancer patients we helped and the kidney failure patients we saved from that kind of thing. And that is a testimony of the grace of God that could happen. But what is more testimony of the grace of God is that even in a place where you have a lack of resources, a lack of infrastructure, a lack of wealth, you still have the joy of the Lord. You still have the faithfulness of the Lord. And that was everyone I met who was a Christian. You could see it in their eyeballs that they had this brightness in their life that did not come from humanity, that did not come from the dollars in their pocket or the lack of dollars in their pocket, but it came from God, the same God we were served together, brothers and sisters with. And that was the most amazing thing. If you take anything away from our testimonies, that God is faithful. God is faithful in Anderson. He's faithful in Africa. And today being Easter, it's a good day to remember that, because if there's any day of the year you can look in the mirror and say, God treasures me, certainly was Friday, and even more, it is today. So that's my scoop. Rachel can tell you a little more.
Yeah, very similar. I wanted to say too that today we have a friend from Cameroon here who I just met in town a few months ago. Her name is Miriam, and so she knows obviously much more about Cameroon than Peter and I will ever know. But please greet her and welcome her. But I think, like what Peter said, the theme of the whole preparation and traveling and being there and getting back is God's faithfulness, and to see that in our own lives. I mean, some of y'all know the struggle I went through to leave my kids for 10 days and all the logistics of doing that and the legality of paperwork that got lost and all of that hassle. And God's so faithful to teach my own heart through those minor problems, but that felt so major. And through that time, I was reading through Psalm 116 a lot, and it is a prayer about God faithfulness. It starts out, I love the Lord because he has heard my voice and my pleas for mercy. And that was so raw and real in my own life, with my own problems and fears, and to plead to the Lord for mercy, and then to see him respond in answering that. And then to be in Cameroon and see lives that in many ways are vastly different than mine and have very different problems than mine, very different resources or lack of resources, and again, see people crying out for God's mercy and to see God answering with his mercy. One verse down in verse 15, it says, "Precious in the sight of the Lord is the death of his saints." And being at the hospital, my parents live on the hospital compound, and in the morning you could hear wailing because someone had died in the night. And to know that even in that place where death is so much more real than I had ever experienced it, I'm so sheltered from that in my life. Peter less so, working at a hospital, but even it's very different there than here. And that every death is precious in the sight of the Lord, that every person is precious in the sight of the Lord. And precious is such a tender term. If something is precious, it's important. It's watched over. And so that every life, every end of life, is cared for by God's mercy. And so that was very ministering to my own heart, and I pray will continue to teach me to see people as precious, and to know that people's pain is watched and cared for and felt by our God. And so I pray that continues in our lives. And also thinking about my parents and what my parents are extraordinary people, and they're very overworked people right now where they are, and that just encouraging y'all to pray for them. They're actually in the States right now for a few weeks, and just they always need prayer for encouragement. They're very easily discouraged and very easily overwhelmed, and so pray for that, and also pray for people to join them. My dad can't do what he's doing forever, and he needs some medical assistance, some surgeons to come and serve with him. So those would be prayers for them going into the future.
Yeah.
Thanks.
I'm glad you mentioned that. What can Living Hope do for this situation? Obviously, you can pray. That's the best thing we can do. But if you're interested in doing more, if that's money, if that's emails, if that's medical expertise, if that's saying, hey, I know a guy in Oklahoma who needs an outlet to bring some doctors over, talk to us afterwards. We'll email you links to the website that can help you plug in with the organization. So thanks for supporting us. It was good to know we had a family that would watch our kids if anything went wrong. And thank God not that they went wrong, but thanks for being that church that was with us, even though you weren't there physically. So